Hello, everyone. If you're new here, welcome to Life with Courage, where we share stories or information about marriage, about family, about relationships, about child upbringing, and many other stuff, even singing. I know I've not been able to put up a video for long, a sit down video. I put up some videos recently for those that have watched about my trip to Canada from Cameroon, and I hope you have checked out those videos. And I just want to thank and appreciate all those that have been supporting me on this channel for the longest time. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I want to encourage you that has been watching and hasn't yet subscribed. I beg you to subscribe. Please join the family, like the videos, and I hope you like this one as well, because in this video I'll be telling you about everything that happened throughout my journey from Cameroon to Calgary, and it's going to be so much fun, so stay tuned. So on that fateful day, was a Tuesday, I had to take off from Cameroon at 10 p.m. So we had to get to the airport 3 hours before time because I had so much luggage. I had three extra luggages, and the normal luggages I'm supposed to have is two luggages of 23 kgs each, and my baby one luggage 23 kg. But we had three extra luggages. That means three 23 kg bags extra. Imagine, I had to get there early so as to put everything, check everything in before time to board, so as to avoid rushing. You understand these things? So it started raining so heavily that day. It was so heavy we thought we were going to leave the house late. Thank goodness the rain reduced and we were able to leave. I went to the park with my mom, my in-laws, my siblings. Yeah, and that's a crowd that that took us to the airport, and it was so good to have those people around us, seeing us to the airport and bidding us farewell from Cameroon. At the airport now, we got there, we had to check in. It was not as complicated as I was thinking it was going to be, though we had to reduce the number of bags we had from 6 to 5 because we were advised that the bags were so many in number and we could get confused. So we removed things from one of the bags and shared or distributed them to the other 5 bags. So we ended up with 5 bags to check in. I had a hand luggage and a handbag for laptop and other small stuffs. So we did that, wrapped everything up. There was somebody that helped us with all these procedures, guys. That's why the check-in procedure was very easy for us. We checked in, we got our tickets, and we went to the waiting room, waiting to take off for Brussels because we had to transit at Brussels before getting to Canada. From Brussels, in fact, the flight between Yaoundé and Brussels was a smooth one because it was in the night. The baby slept throughout, so we didn't really feel anything. And flying for the first time, guys, I would say I didn't really have any strange feeling about being in an airplane. It was just for me like being in a bus traveling night journey. Apart from taking off and landing, that was it. There was nothing so unique. They gave us some food in the airplane. I did not like it. I had mashed potatoes. I wish I had taken pictures of those things, but because I was carrying the baby, it was not easy for me. I had mashed potatoes, some kind of beef stew. I did not even touch it. As I just tasted it, I just covered the thing and kept it there. Ate the bread, drank water. That was it. I was not very hungry because I had eaten in the house before going to the airport. So we got to Brussels, and guys, the first thing I noticed was the difference in the size of the airports from Simalen and the Brussels airport. It was so big, and one of my fears was the escalators, guys, because I had never used one. I had always avoided using one because I knew I'll always have either normal staircases or I'll have a lift to take me to where I want to go to. But I started noticing so many of them, but at this point I had no serious problem because I noticed there was also the normal stairs and then the lift, which I used. So I was calm at this point. So we got to Brussels, we got to where we had to check in the hand luggages, they had to check my body, check the baby's own and everything. So we're clean, we had no problems. There was one thing, they kept checking my hand luggages a lot because I was carrying some liquids for the baby. So if you are traveling with liquids in your hand luggage, just be prepared that anytime you reach where they have to scan your bag, they will remove everything in order to check that the liquid is okay to travel with and it's not more than, I think it's 500 milliliters. Yes, if not, it will be confiscated. So they checked everything. I made sure nothing was more than 500 milliliters. And because I was carrying a baby, I had no choice. I had to carry water, I had to carry some of her food, I had to carry some medication. And you know, baby medications usually come in liquid form. So all those things caused my hand luggage to be checked every time I got to where they had to do the scanning. So that was it. After we did the scanning, we got through. They said there was no problem. We had to go to the waiting room. It was so smooth. We got to the waiting room. We had no problems. Apart from the fact that I was getting exhausted, and the baby was also getting cranky because she was getting tired. So moving on from Brussels airport, we had to go to Montreal airport to transition to our final destination, which was Calgary. Don't ask me how long we took because we traveled for a very long time. We took hours upon hours before we got to our final destination, and it was so exhausting. I've never been so exhausted like that in my entire life. I tell you. Then imagine the baby. Imagine traveling with a baby for the first time, and the baby is cranky and you are exhausted. Just put that combination together. It was not easy at all, but thank goodness I got to my destination safely. So we left Brussels, we boarded the plane to Montreal airport, and that was the most difficult trip between Yaoundé to Calgary. The one from Brussels to Montreal was not easy because it was during the day and the baby kept disturbing throughout. Thank goodness it was a short flight. It was a short flight. So we got there, we got to Montreal, and as I left the plane, someone offered to help me with my hand luggage, which I was so grateful for because they saw how I was struggling a lot carrying the baby, carrying my bag, and the bag was a little bit heavy because I put change of clothes inside, which I finally did not even use. I put the baby's change of clothes, two different sets, put mine, then our jacket, diapers, and every other thing. I finally did not even use those change of clothes. I wish I had just put one and then I had not put any for myself because I would have managed like that. But anyways, we got to Montreal airport and we had to wait there for the longest time. We had to wait there for about 8 hours before we could get our flight to Calgary. And waiting in an open place for 8 hours with a baby. I keep saying with a baby because if I was alone, I don't think I would have felt so much stress. But because I was with a baby, it was not easy. It did not make things easy. It was not easy. We had to wait for 8 hours, and as we were waiting, I had to keep running up and down trying to catch her, and I did not want to confine her in one space because she would have started screaming. So for the baby to start screaming, I prefer she moves around a little bit and there's no harm in running behind the baby. And before going, I prepared some snacks for her. Yes, you prepare snacks and games. The games I didn't prepare, she did not even play them because my baby is so sociable. She wanted to play with people instead of those toys. So I just had to be watching her, making sure that she's okay, and so on. We waited there for 8 hours. Finally, the time came for us to board our flight to Calgary, which was our final destination. And the flight was smooth. The baby was sleeping, and we got to Calgary, and that is where I had to face one of my fears, which was using the escalator. Where I had to go down to collect my luggage. The luggages which were checked in Cameroon, that's where I had to collect them. I collected them only at Calgary. So as I had to go down to collect them, the only thing I had to use was an escalator. There was actually a lift beside me. I saw the escalator. I thought it was this kind of smooth surfaces, not the ones with the stairs. So as I climbed, I realized that my one leg went up. I was like, hey, I hope it's not what I'm thinking. And it was what I was thinking. I didn't look at it properly. But I don't know how I managed to be stable on that thing for my first time. And the baby was on the ground. I actually held her hand. We did so well. I was so proud of myself. I cannot lie. So we used the escalator for the first time. And as we stepped down, we saw our welcome team. The welcome team was there. My husband was there with flowers, and the host, like his friend and wife with whom he lives and with whom I live now, they were also there with another friend of ours. All of them were there to welcome me. So the welcome was so warm and it was beautiful. And from there, we just got home. Inside the airport, I did not realize how cold Canada was. Only when we stepped out to get into the car, I was like, okay, this is Canada. This is not like the cold in Seoul, because I'm from Seoul, for those who know, and I schooled in St. Augustine, and there's a lot of cold there. So I was telling myself that no, I've experienced that cold, so nothing will be too much for me to handle. But when I stepped out, guys, I had to put my hands in my pocket. I had to put on my cap. It was really cold, but not the winter cold, because I know that that winter cold, if I come during that period, I don't know what I would have done. So we got to the house, we had a beautiful meal, a sumptuous meal, and that's how my trip went from Cameroon to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I just want to say, if you're traveling for the first time with a baby, there are so many things you need to take into consideration. As a first timer, I had to take note of some things which I thought would be helpful to some people out there, and I'm going to make a video only for that. And also I'll make a video on the PR procedure that we followed, and my husband will be in that video because he is the one that actually followed everything through to the end, and I'm just a dependent, but he is the one that did the applications and everything. So guys, there'll be so many other videos coming up about our trip to Canada, how it happened, when we got the permanent residence confirmation, and every other thing. So stay glued to this channel, and thank you so much for watching this video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm begging you people, please subscribe to this channel, and see you guys in the next video.